The sun that afternoon was as though God himself had placed a giant lantern directly over the streets of Enugu. Heat shimmered above the tarred road, making it look like the ground was boiling with silent anger. Two young men walked toward the bus stop, dragging their feet like soldiers returning from a lost battle. Kanu's shirt clung to his back like stubborn glue. Obi's tie, once proudly knotted, now hung loosely around his neck like it had given up hope. This will be my fourth unsuccessful interview this month, Obi snapped, frustration hanging in his voice like a bad odor. Kanu sighed, managing a weak smile. At least you have been attending interviews. Me, after submitting hundreds of applications, this is my first invitation. But from what I saw inside, they already had their candidates. We were just invited for decoration. They shared a moment of heavy silence, the type that felt like a stone pressing down on both their chests. Things are just unbearable, Obi continued, raising his hands dramatically. You struggle through university, get good results, then the labor market treats you like expired biscuits. He paused and frowned. Do you have transport fare? Kanu dug into his pockets anxiously and pulled out a single sad-looking 200 naira note. This is all I have, and I already budgeted it for dinner, akara. The two friends stared at each other and burst into loud, helpless laughter. So, why exactly are we at the bus stop? Obi said between giggles. If we can't afford the bus. Kanu wiped tears of laughter from his eyes. My brother, let's start walking. It's a long journey, but at least when we reach home, Mama Nkechi's akara and plenty gari will revive us. I only hope we have sugar left, Obi added. That was the final straw. They laughed so hard that passers-by turned to stare. Suffering and smiling, Obi said dramatically, Now we get 'em. And so they began the long trek home. Two graduates with bright minds, empty pockets, and a future that seemed to be playing hide and seek. Life settled into a rhythm, though not the kind any graduate prayed for. They both graduated last year from the State University. Obi, a first-class graduate of business administration, can never imagine it would take this long for him to land a good job. He gets at least 2 to 3 invitations for interviews every month, but never successful. Also, Kanu has not been lucky with his job applications. He studied electrical engineering, finished with second-class upper, and hoped he would get a good job to support his widowed mother and his 2 sisters, but this has not been the case. Every morning, Obi polished his shoes, knotted his tie, and hurried off to one interview or another. He returned with the same story. Mr. Obi, excellent CV, but you were unsuccessful this time. Meanwhile, Kanu stayed home with his laptop, submitting applications. After that, he sat at the gate, watching people swarm Mama Nkechi's akara stand like bees chasing honey. He became fascinated by the business. Mama Nkechi sells akara twice daily, and people never get tired, he would mutter. This akara business no be small thing, no. The idea began to form in his mind, dangerously, stubbornly. One morning, as Obi adjusted his tie, Kanu cleared his throat. Obi, I've been thinking, what if we start an akara business? Obi froze, like someone had poured cold water on him. What did you say? I mean it, Kanu continued. I fry while you handle money and customers. With your business administration knowledge, Obi repeated. Kanu, you want us, graduates, to sit at a junction selling akara? Look, I know things are tough, but they haven't reached that level. Kanu simply smiled. Obi's words didn't sting as much as they should have. Something inside him kept whispering, start, just start. So, he borrowed money and enrolled at a local catering school. And each morning, while Obi marched off like a corporate warrior, Kanu tied his apron, mixed flour, cracked eggs, and learned the science of frying. When he opened his first small kiosk at the entrance of the market, the aroma of his akara and pastries swept through the market like perfume in the wind. Customers came rushing, not because Kanu advertised, but because hunger smelled something irresistible. Even Obi couldn't deny it. He just didn't want to be part of it. Eventually, after months of searching, Obi landed a job at the city center. The salary was small, but the joy on his face was big. Kanu congratulated him genuinely, but a few months later, an email landed in Obi's inbox. Due to downsizing, your employment will be terminated in 6 weeks. Obi's world shattered. Kanu tried again. Join me. This business is doing very well. With your skills. Skills? My friend, stop joking. Me, Obi, of all people, frying akara? He laughed so hard, the walls vibrated. Maybe me and you. Kanu only smiled. He had heard something much louder than Obi's mockery. A whisper from the scripture. Seest thou a man diligent in his business? He shall stand before kings. He repeated this gently. Obi rolled his eyes. Well done, Mr. Diligence. Go and fry your akara. Kanu returned to the market, but something shifted inside him. A new confidence, a new realization. He looked around his former tiny kiosk, now expanded into a shop with 2 employees. He had started with 3 cups of beans. Now he used half a bag per week. Real businessmen pitch deals, Obi had mocked. Well, maybe it was time to pitch deals too, Kanu thought to himself. Kanu began approaching companies, starting shyly, then boldly. He packaged his snacks in attractive branded boxes. Every company that tried his pastries wanted more. One deal led to another, and soon he was supplying snacks across the state, then across the region. By the time Obi relocated to another town for a new job, Kanu was opening a second shop, then a third, then a fourth. Years passed. His akara business transformed into a registered fast food company, Kanu's Crunch Delights, with branches all over Nigeria. His office became a place where important people visited, government officials, business executives, and celebrities. He never forgot where he started. He never forgot the verse that kept him going. Diligence, persistence, faith. One Wednesday morning, Kanu was reviewing CCTV footage of the reception in his newest branch. He was scouting for staff to fill new roles, administrative, accounting, and logistic positions. But then he paused. A man in a worn-out grey suit sat nervously on a bench. Something about the posture, the face, the tired eyes. Kanu leaned closer. It was Obi. He called his receptionist immediately. Send the man in the grey suit to my office. Inside, Obi walked in slowly, unsure and anxious. But when he saw the man seated behind the large executive desk, he froze. Kanu? Kanu stood and smiled widely. Obi, my brother. Obi's shock was indescribable. He looked around the luxurious office. Framed certificates, shining awards, photographs of Kanu shaking hands with governors, executives, and international partners. His voice cracked. So, you own this place? By God's grace, Kanu replied softly. Obi sank into the chair provided for him. For a moment, he couldn't speak. Finally, he whispered, I should have joined you all those years ago. Kanu shook his head. Everything happens in its time. Obi explained his situation. His current job was unfulfilling, the distance from his family unbearable, and the salary embarrassingly low. He cleared his throat. I need something better. Kanu smiled and picked up Obi's CV. He read through it with genuine admiration. I've always known you were brilliant, he said. We can use someone like you. And there is an opening in the branch close to your town. Obi looked up, eyes wide. Really? Yes, Kanu said. And you will be well paid. That was when the tear slipped from the corner of Obi's eye. Memories crashed into his mind. The hot scorching sun. The 200 naira note. The laughter. The hunger. The hopelessness. And the moment he mocked Kanu's dream. Yet, here he was, seeking help from the same friend he once dismissed. Kanu stood up and placed a gentle hand on Obi's shoulder. My brother, he said, voice warm. God never wastes a person's journey. Where you are today is not the end of the story. Obi whispered. But you remained diligent. You built something extraordinary. Kanu nodded. Proverbs 22:29 was my anchor. It kept me going even when people laughed. Even when you laughed. Obi bowed his head shamefully. I was proud. Foolish. I didn't believe small beginnings could amount to anything. Ha! Kanu said with a grin. But God specializes in small beginnings. They both laughed softly. Outside the office, customers lined up to buy Kanu's famous akara burgers, puff puff deluxe, and the legendary fish roll that had become the talk of the town. Life had come full circle. One man mocked the path of small beginnings. The other embraced it. One waited for opportunities. The other created them. But in the end, both learned something profound. No job is too small when destiny is involved. Diligence is the key that opens unlikely doors. And sometimes your palace is hidden inside a frying pan. As Obi began his new role in the company, he looked at Kanu with gratitude, admiration, and a touch of regret. But Kanu simply smiled and said, My friend, your time has come. Let's build this dream together. And just like that, the two boys who once walked under a scorching sun with empty pockets and broken hearts finally found their place in the world. Like, share, subscribe, and turn on the bell notification for more illustrations of inspiring African stories.